Hey guys, Field Marshal here at the Blaster Factory. Today we're going to do the A180 Jyn Erso build. Okay guys, first thing I'll go over a couple of things you're going to need, okay? If you're getting just the raw kit, you're going to need to get your own airsoft Luger, which this Wii model, and you're going to need the medium size, which is the Navy Luger. The others, if you get the regular one, it's going to be too short. I know a lot of people tried to get the Denix one. That will not work. And the artillery Luger, there's stuff in the way of the barrel. So you're going to need the medium airsoft Luger. And next, here's one that I've completed. And you can see when you get the kit, we've already put the shroud together. And you see we've ground the screws down flat, so you don't have to do that. So that's ready to go. And then the front, a couple of the other pieces here. Set that aside. Okay guys, step one, I'm going to go over where all these pieces from the kit go. And we'll start with left side of the blaster here. You know, you got this, what I call the blade, which goes here. And a little barrel ring. The front part of the shroud that slides in. And then the shroud itself, which I've already got the steel piece back here. We've already got it mounted, it's screwed in. You don't have to do any drilling or tapping, and we even grind off the screws because that's going to be real important here in a minute, and I'll show you why. And then you got the side plate here, and when you go to the right side here, there's a little piece that goes behind, and I'll show you what to do with that. And then the washer that you'll need to modify this little locking piece here on the Luger itself. So, you know, once you get the kit, if you buy the kit from Blaster Factory, you know, it's going to come either, you know, complete like this. Now this one's already been blued, the steel's been blued, and the Luger's already pre-cut up, and you know, you could either get it blued and weathered or just raw, where you can do that yourself. But you know, I'll show you how to do that toward the end. Now, if you're getting your own Luger, like I said before, you're going to need the Navy or the medium-size airsoft Luger. And when you get it, a couple things you need to do to it, which on my blog on the Blaster Factory, go to the blog, there's a Jyn Erso build blog, and it's showing us machining up the airsoft body, because you're going to need to disassemble it. You're going to need to remove the rear sight. You're going to need to go ahead and take the grip panel off. And it'll show you where we're milling out the little pieces here, you know, like you see on the build. And we have to buff this down to make room for the shroud to go over, and then take the front sight off. So there's a couple things you're going to need to do. If you're buying the complete kit, you won't have to worry about this because I already do it for you and it's already assembled. But if you're buying just the pieces, then you know you're going to need to take care of all that yourself. Okay, let's see. First things first, we'll start putting the Luger together. Get it back in one piece here. Slide that. That needs to go all the way back flush. And next is this shroud piece. It just slips over right there. You can kind of see where it's supposed to go. And we're going to be putting this shim in here. Now, on the Luger, there's a little screw right here that's going to get in the way of this part. So I actually do a little mod to that to make it simpler on myself. I actually make the screw holes, I notch them out and make a notch in the back so I don't have to interfere with this little screw here. Because if you damage that or take it out, it won't fire anymore. And I know some of you are trying to make these things actually, you know, still shoot airsoft BBs. So there you go. Make sure you got clearance on that. And this piece too, already comes from us. We've already tapered it down to where it meets up with the grip back here too. I hope you can see that. Next, we get into some fun stuff here. Get this to slide over. And this is where I was telling you a little while ago where when you get the Luger, if you're doing this yourself, you're going to need to take the edges down pretty good on the toggle, because this piece right here needs all the clearance it can get so it stays straight and in alignment. You just slide that on, and that looks like I'm just about perfect there. Now, this piece here wraps around and is screwed and tapped into it. And I grind the screws off, like I was saying, so that I get as much clearance so it'll set down flat on top of the blaster here. And then the screws stick out the top, which is pretty cool. Kind of odd, but pretty cool. And then the side piece here needs to be parallel. So it's not quite, it's off. You see a little gap right here, but you're going to need that so it sets down parallel with the side. There we go. And once you get that in place, it's all pulled back where you want it. It's the fun part, the part everybody hates. And that's where we've got to drill and tap it. And I go ahead and I've got 2 drills because I'm going to go back and forth with them. But this is a number 37 drill that I use to tap to do the hole for the M3 screws. And on the side here, I'm using the, let's see, what is this? This is the M3 x 8 screw to go through the sandwich these 2 pieces together here. So I'll go ahead and do that. Now, when you're drilling, don't get heavy-handed, because if you push through, as soon as you feel it giving a little bit, you need to stop, because if you just push the drill through, there's some mechanism down there you're going to destroy. So be careful. Next is tap. I do these one at a time. Now, I know that was pretty crazy. I'm tapping with a drill. Most people use the little T-handle to do it, but I've just had a lot of practice doing it that way. Looks like a decent hole there. And I go ahead and put 1 screw in there because I don't want this thing to walk while I'm putting it together. And this is a number 54 Allen key. Make sure I don't cross thread it here. Looking good. I do these one at a time so that something doesn't move and I get my screws out of alignment. Because this is a casting material, it's probably Zamac or one of the other casting Chinese things. And this stuff will crumble, so you've got to be real careful. Go ahead and do the front one now. There we go. Get our metal shavings out of the way. Use 2 more of the M3 x 8. That was good. There we go. That's one of the toughest things to do. It's a big hurdle to be over there to get all that sandwiched together and in alignment. Okay, now we're ready for side 2. Okay guys, we're going to do the left side of the blaster now. And first thing we're going to need to do is install the blade, or I call it the blade. It lines up where the locking bolt was. And now if you're prepping the Luger yourself, make sure you take the boss off of this thing and make it just a round part here. You see where I buffed it off real smooth. That will go in there. Make sure that moves freely. And then the trigger plate goes next. Pop that in place. And then slide that into position. That holds that on. Got everything snugged up there. Okay. Next, the left side plate. And you can see where this goes. Now, this piece here is really thin. You're not going to have more than about 1 thread in it, so you don't want to screw up. And back here, you don't have much space before it hits stuff too. So we're going to use these really short, the M3 ×4 screws. And before we do that, I just want to make sure I bend this and have it lining up at where I want it to, right here. Okay. And then this plate here, just kind of get it in alignment with the other one. And I'm going to, like the last one, I'm just going to do 1 hole at a time to make sure that I get this thing where I want it before I drill all the holes. Okay. You can see with that one, it didn't go very deep. So next, I'll go ahead and tap it. Okay, here we go. First screw. It's a pretty shallow hole. Nice. That tightened up really well. I don't want to over tighten it because I'll strip it. Okay, shavings out of the way. Now, eyeball it, make sure that you're in alignment. And I'm going to go ahead and do this hole here. Got a little more meat back here. Okay, still lined up. I'll run my tap in here. Now I do set the torque really, really low on this when I'm doing this small of a tap. So if it hangs up, I don't break my tap off in here. Because if you do that, that's going to be a pain. Okay, nice. That one's good. Everything's still in alignment like it should be. And let's go ahead and pop these other holes in here. Oops. Go. Okay. Get the metal shavings out of it. Okay. See how we did here. Good. That one ain't getting through. Let's go to on this one. I put these in the kit too, so if you need them, we'll go the next size up. This is an M3x6, so a little bit longer. Get down to it. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, got this stuff done here. Next part, we're gonna do the little piece on the trigger here, which is often overlooked. It's just a little piece of metal they've bent and put in there, and I think that that when people do this proper, they're little 3D printed ones, they often miss that little bitty detail. But now a couple of screen grab pictures here. I don't know if you can see this, but you can just barely see this little piece of metal, little bent thin piece of wire that's in the trigger here. I see it here. And we're going to try to do that real quick here. You see it's just below. You go down I go down to about the third little diamond. Now you probably can't see this in the video, but the knurling on these grips, I come down to about right there. It's this little half cut off one here. It's the second one down, or the third one down if you see a hole in here. But I just clip a little spot out, because that's what's going to trap the other end of it. And then this little guy here, which this is just a little nail that I found and cut off and bent for this purpose. It's perfect size. And we're going to need to drill a little hole in the trigger here. And if you look in the picture there, there's a spring behind the trigger that you can see. That's right there. And you want to be just below it in the center of the trigger. So for this, I am going to use a drill starter, because I don't want the drill to walk when I'm doing this. So I'm going to make a little spot with this. Okay. Get a good placement here. Okay. See that? And next, this is a 5/64 drill, which will be big enough to slide that little piece of the nail I bent for this. There we go. Get that down in there. Okay. And then now we can put the grip back on. It's got two little tabs right here. You gotta get underneath there. Line this up with the hole you just made. Oh, by the way, if you're making this little nail, don't make it too long, because if it hits the mag release, every time you pull the trigger, you'll release your mag. Okay. Put the screw back in. There we go. Okay, getting to the end of it here. Next thing, we need to do the little lock bolt here that holds the blade in. Since we took the boss, remember we ground the boss off of it so that it would be used to hold the blade in. It doesn't lock in position anymore. So the prop master, whoever that was, when he did this, you can see right here, they used one of the M3 screws and a washer here. And I have drilled and tapped a little hole here so that we can take care of that pretty quick. We will there we go. Tighten that up. There we go. Now that won't fall apart on you anymore. There we go. Here, still functional. Get rid of the metal shavings. Now, put the mag back in. Getting closer. Last two parts, guys. Got the barrel ring, got the front insert for the barrel. Let's see, we'll go ahead and put the barrel ring on. It's already got a pre-cut dovetail in it that's going to correspond to the dovetail on top of the blade. You're going to line that up. I would go ahead and I'd put a little bit of epoxy in this groove so when you've made them up, they stay. It locks it together permanently. Get that lined up. There we go. Locks together, nice and tight. Keeps that from flopping around. Also, you know, these parts are steel, like, you know, the ring steel, the blade steel, and the two side panels are steel. And to make this look, you know, like the screen used ones, they've blued it. And, you know, you'll want to use some Birchwood Casey Super Blue. Depending on what type of build you're doing, whether it's distressed or new looking, I just go ahead and blue it while it's on the blaster itself after everything's together, because I don't care about it spilling over on other things and kind of making them hazy and dark and streaky. Makes it just look weathered. Once you do that, steel wool, you know, you shine it back up, the steel looks just like the one on screen. Last part, the insert here, you've got the two openings here that are going to correspond with these two holes that are open, and you've got a hole here for a 632 grub screw, and you're going to want to line that up with the bottom here with that hole, and you're going to want to align that. Now, back earlier in the video, we're talking about this piece here being straight, you know, when you put it on. This is a little bit off, not much, but a little bit. And this will correct it. I'm put a screwdriver in here just to move the barrel over to make it fit inside this, inside that hole. And that way you've got everything in alignment again. And we want to keep these holes lined up. So when I slide that back, get it lined up, we actually have the opening like on the screen used one. And then you'll use Allen key, put your little grub screw in there, and there you go. Ready for weathering, ready for display, whatever you want to do. Okay guys, I'm not going to go into this real heavy on this video because I do weathering in some other videos, but the Jyn Erso is not real hard to weather it up and distress it like the one on screen. You can see like the cuts I've already made, you know, on the actual Luger, and then you see some of the wear marks, you know, and kind of the bluing and scuff marks all over it. I do that with Scotch-Brite and steel wool, and you just basically, or sandpaper, you just rub these places, just knock the paint off, or, you know, just kind of scuff it up a little bit, and, you know, to kind of make it look worn like the one on screen. That wouldn't take too long, but I just want to make a quick note of that for you. Thanks for joining me on the Jyn Erso A180 build. I invite you to tune in to our YouTube channel, and also go check out Blaster Factory. All of these products, all of these blasters and accessories are on that page. Also, the blog is on that website, and you can go see almost everything that we make here. You can see the process, the machining, and everything we do there. So thanks for joining us.